This is the United Uprising channel. Welcome to today's show. The sooner people realize that we are in a psychological war, the sooner people will actually wake up to what's really going on. If we can all see past the propaganda, which comes from the left and the right, if civilians can start shutting off technology, then this entire New World Order structure can be stopped. But unfortunately, it's almost as if the civilians enjoy the division. It's like the civilians like being gaslit into this left-right divide. Like they need an enemy to be angry at, when in reality, we all have an enemy, a common enemy to be angry at, where we all could put differences aside and look at wicked elites who are sitting there and dividing us, making us hate one another. They're going to the extreme lengths on both sides to literally make it so we do not want to live amongst each other. And I have talked about this for years now, about the blue and red states. And when I first started talking about it, people were telling me that I was crazy, that there's no way we would ever get to that point. And we continued to get closer and closer to that because of the psychological aspect of this. Now, a lot of people sit there and they go, well, I'm never going to pick up and sell my home and go to a different state. They say that now, but eventually they're going to have no choice unless they want to compromise their freedoms, because there will be different rules in different states. And that's what everything you see is all about. That's why we've been gaslit for years about going down to states like Florida, which are honeypots, going to red states like Texas, saying that they're beacons of freedom. On the other side, their inverted reality is that, well, if you live in a red state, you'll never be able to have your own laws for yourself. If you're a woman, you won't be able to abort a child. If you're a woman, you won't be able to get a job. These are all psychological ploys that they're using to herd us. This entire thing is a herding mechanism. And again, that is why I have warned for years and years and years about the alt-right, the right media, the alt-right media, which replaced actual truthers out there, and the dangers of getting sucked into this stuff. And obviously, we all should know, if you're on this channel, about Trump, his role in all of this, and how these left and right states, there is no lesser of two evils. People go, well, it's a lesser of two evils, these red and blue states. I'd rather be in a red state because they won't force this into my body. Yes, but understand that these are honeypots, and that with a divide like this, with civilians constantly being down, going and wanting to strangle the opposing side based on politics, that you're playing right into what they're doing. It is a psychosis, a psychological op. Understand how the intel agencies work, and you'll understand this. None of this stuff on the television is freedom. This is a trap. The right wing, the left wing, getting you to feel this way. It's all done by design. They're gaslighting you into what they want, which ultimately is two separate countries. Now, let's start here. I just talked about this stuff with the ballot, this show, this charade with the ballot. Trump's banned from the ballot, and they're telling you that more states are coming, like California. And then, of course, just like children, because remember, this is what they want. They want you to cancel out the other side, cancel out opposing viewpoints. This is 1984 personified. Cancel someone you disagree with. Cancel this, cancel that. And ultimately, everything will be canceled. That's the end goal here. You're going to cancel out our freedoms. You're going to cancel out free speech. You're going to cancel each other out to the point where they have to rebuild everything and give it an entire new infrastructure, which is what they have to do and want to do and ultimately are getting away with doing, because they're going to blame you for the demise of this country, for the left and the right, and everybody's going to blame each other, the civilians, when it's these guys working together to do this to all of us. Now, let's take a look at the programming that's out there, because, of course, over the years, I've warned about the dangers of canceling free speech. So when people would oppose me, I'd always say, this is the dangerous thing to do. And, of course, these people would they would ultimately win as far as canceling my channels, but they'll never, like I said, cancel my free speech and cancel my right to speak unless they come and cut my tongue out. And if any of these little pansies try to do that, well, they'll ultimately get worse done to them, because it'll never, ever happen from that standpoint. But online and all these other places, everybody starts canceling each other. That's how we have cancel culture, right? This is done by design. So now that Donald Trump is off the ballot, what do we hear? Well, we hear the other side like children, because remember, this is adults behaving as children. This is like high school playground stuff. Well, they took Trump off the ballot, so let's take Biden off of the ballot. Instead of going, everything that's going on here is tyranny. This is treason. This is a violation of our rights. These are people supposed to be working for us, right? They want both sides to look at it as all corrupt, which it is. But it's not the structure that's corrupt. It's not the infrastructure that's in place that's corrupt. It's the people in these positions that are corrupt on both sides. So here's the narrative now of Republicans wanting to take Joe Biden off the ballot. Do you see where this is headed?
Because Republicans are threatening to take Joe Biden off the ballot in states they control. They're going to kick him off the ballot for the same constitutionally sound reason they're impeaching him.
Well, what's keeping a Republican state from saying Biden shouldn't be on the ballot? He let 8 million illegal aliens into this country. Maybe we can say that is an insurrection or a rebellion. So what the Colorado court did had no precedent in American history.
We're fed up. In fact, seeing what happened in Colorado tonight, Laura, makes me think, except we believe in democracy in Texas, maybe we should take Joe Biden off the ballot in Texas for allowing 8 million people to cross the border since he's been president, disrupting our state far more than anything anyone else has done in recent history.
The lieutenant governor of Texas, Dan Patrick, suggests taking Biden off the Texas ballot. Are you in favor of that?
Well, I think, I served in the Texas Senate and served with and under Dan Patrick. I think he's the best lieutenant governor in the country. So he did say in that same sentence that, maybe we should. He was speculating but then he said in the same breath that we believe in democracy in Texas. So we would do something like that. But you know what? Push comes to shove. Who's doing these things? Who decided that election integrity is not important? And who fights us at every turn? The left. Who decided that they were going to prosecute the leading candidate for president in 3 different venues? The left. And now taking it a step further, now don't worry about ballot integrity. Let's just take them off the ballot entirely. Who did that? The left. 7 political activists in black robes in Colorado.
Yeah. So, of course, by taking Joe Biden off of the ballots, we take Trump off, we take Biden off, you continue to destroy the entire republic, even though it's already destroyed. And they need to give you the illusion that you're the ones destroying it, right? That you're demanding Biden be taken, he gets taken off. Demand Trump gets taken, he gets taken off. We got to just reset this entire thing. And thus you have a great reset in the United States of America. That's what this is headed towards. Now, the other thing to look at with all of this nonsense is other propaganda that we've seen. We've seen what? We've seen the great red and blue state debates. And nobody realized subconsciously, like I said when it happened, why Ron DeSantis and Gavin Newsom are on national television just debating each other. And you're like, what are they debating about? They're debating about, is it better to live in a blue state or is it better to live in a red state? This is done by design. This is subconsciously affecting people where they're starting to, without you realizing it, change your thought process on where you want to live. And if you want to even live in a blue or red state, guess what? 15 years ago, nobody had a clue if they were living in a blue or red state. They'd be like, oh, okay, I guess currently we have a Democrat as our governor. Maybe next time around we'll have a Republican as our governor, right? Things switched very often. There were some states that were always kind of set in stone, California being one that's always a blue state, right? But now they're giving you this psychosis. Well, even if you live in a state like, just pick one off the top of your head that you like, New Jersey, right? We all know New York is obviously a completely lib state, has been for quite some time. They can do whatever they want. And they keep libs in power there. We've seen that because they just had one of the worst. They've just gone through the worst mayor. We had, the worst mayor in place. We previously had the worst mayor, de Blasio, all these guys, these clowns, right? New Jersey is a state on the outskirts of New York, but it's a state that usually is more of a flip state, which has now become a blue state. So they're kind of trying to set in stone which states are blue and which states are red, and then trying to tell you that, well, in these states, while California might be overrun with homeless people, etc., we're not racist in California. We're good, we give people rights. We're not feminists in California. These are all psychoses that they're putting into your heads to divide you and herd you into blue and red states, to completely separate us, to have different sets of rules, but you'll still be under tyrannical control. Because the red states, well, you say, well, it's the lesser of two evils. In fact, it's going to be the honeypot. The red states are going to be the honey hot pot for the globalists to hit them with whatever. You want to talk about World War III? It's likely going to be between red states and then the boogeyman, which would really be our government just having everybody in one spot so they could hit them until they're no longer existing. But let's take a look at some of the stuff with the red and blue state debate. Nobody's asking questions as to why they should be suspicious of this. They think that this is all of a sudden normal. Debates only usually occur when a president's running against somebody or, we have the Republicans running for nomination, et cetera. Here we have DeSantis and Newsom, who are arguably 1A and 1B, or 2A and 2B, I should say, underneath Trump and Biden. They're the next two biggest faces of everything going on. They're the most known governors in the country, both for being extremes on one side versus the other. So they pin them on TV against each other, and then they use herding mechanisms to say, well, in Newsom state, there's criminals running amok, they're forcing mandates on you, and everyone goes, I don't want my freedom taken away. And then Newsom goes, well, in red states, they don't like black people, they don't like women, and nobody's suspicious of it. So they just listen and they go, oh yeah, and I'll never live there. I mean, if everybody just got through the psychosis, this could be stopped. But look at how they're using this herding mechanism of where you should live, where you shouldn't live, based on this, based on that. Here's freedoms here, here's no freedoms there. It's all psychological, and it's done by design. Look.
California Governor Gavin Newsom taking a swing at Republicans while discussing his state's problems. Right now, growing concerns that California is reverting back to its old ways after spending millions to clean up rampant homelessness and open-air drug markets for the APEC summit. The Golden State governor taking to liberal late-night TV and blaming the GOP for amplifying the quality of life issues.
They've been on a doom loop about San Francisco ever since Nancy Pelosi became speaker. California has outperformed the American economy. It's the tentpole of the American recovery, and its values are a stark contrast. The difference is daylight and darkness between the Republican Party. They have to focus on our failures in order for them to be right. San Francisco is a special place. It is a unique and special place, incredibly resilient and vibrant.
And sounds like someone's looking for a rematch after the big red versus blue state debate. Newsom taking some shots at Florida's Ron DeSantis.
I'm not running for president of the United States. Ron DeSantis apparently still is. I've developed a lot of animus towards him because of his animus towards all of you. This guy's out there scapegoating vulnerable communities. He's attacking minorities, attacking women. For me, it's not anti-woke. What he really means is anti-black.
The debate began with Governor Newsom addressing the question, why debate Governor DeSantis, a presidential candidate, when Newsom isn't even in the race?
I'm here to tell the truth about the Biden-Harris record.
The governors agreed to a primetime showdown after an ongoing public feud. Newsom highlighting former President Trump's huge lead in the Republican primary.
How's that going for you, Ron? You're down 41 points in your own home state.
This is a slick, slippery politician whose state is failing.
DeSantis took aim at Newsom's record in California on everything from crime and homelessness to the high cost of living, pointing out Newsom's own father-in-law moved away.
I was talking to a fella who had made the move from California to Florida, and he was telling me that Florida is much better governed, safer, better budget, lower taxes, all this stuff. And he was really happy with the quality of life. And then he paused and he said, by the way, I'm Gavin Newsom's father-in-law.
Newsom attacked DeSantis for his views on LGBTQ issues and for flying migrants to Martha's Vineyard.
I met with those migrants that you lied to under false pretense. That kind of gamesmanship, using human beings as pawns, I think is disqualifying.
The issue of abortion offered another sharp contrast.
So extreme is your ban that criminalizes women and criminalizes doctors that even Donald Trump said it was too extreme.
I think we're better off when everybody counts, when everybody has an opportunity to do well, and that bill attaches when there's a detectable heartbeat for the child.
In the end, Newsom offered this assessment.
There are profound differences tonight, and I look forward to engaging them, but there's one thing in closing that we have in common is neither of us will be the nominee for our party in 2024.
DeSantis accused Newsom of running a shadow campaign for the White House. Speculation still surrounds Newsom's ambitions, both for 2024 and 2028.
So these are all underlying themes that we need to keep in mind here, right? The canceling of each other out with voting, right? Oh, well, we're going to remove people from the ballot. So they're already telling you, and they're saying that people are clamoring for it, the removal of these people from being on the ballots to vote for them, even though you have to be, can I get on a ballot? Can you get on a ballot? Absolutely not, even if you had support, right? I mean, I probably in the day could have got a couple 100,000 people on a ballots, and they're like, well, you have to meet a certain low threshold. Oh, right, okay. You have to be one of them to be Republican. You have to be in the bag, right? So the entire psychosis that's going on is, as we all should know, and if you don't know and you're new to it, you can go to the website. There's a lot of my videos that have been removed about, let's look at the World Economic Forum, right? All of the Republicans and Democrats that serve and go through the World Economic Forum, from the Young Leaders programs, et cetera, that are put in place. So they're all put in place, and their job is to destroy the infrastructure and build a new infrastructure. The only way they're going to have, which was what they want, is a technology-based governance where everything is through AI, right? And then nobody thinks past that. Well, who's controlling the AI? What are the rules? What aren't the rules? Everyone thinks it's some type of utopia. It's not. It's a dystopian reality. It's a dystopian hell on earth that they're trying to create. So to do that, the hardest country to take down is America. So now that all the people are in place, all the agents from Trump all the way down, and again, people who don't think Trump's an agent, it's because you're getting giddy over his great mic skills, him saying the things that you're thinking about all the crazy stuff that you're seeing. So you want to naturally vote for him. You want to naturally believe in him. And you're falling for it. You're falling for what they want you to fall for so they can herd you. Okay? And anyone goes, well, what's the plan then? What do we do about it then? Well, you got to, first of all, this whole system has to be, the system that's in place should stay in place, but the people there and how they get in these positions needs to be removed. But it's never going to happen, unfortunately, because look at the support that Donald Trump has. No president, nobody has ever had this type of support before. Okay? And when they do whatever they have planned, because this is the year, 2024, that something big is going to go down. Big, whether it's a cancellation of the election or a very obviously rigged election again, or removing from ballots and all this type of stuff. This is going to cause this country to break into two. Now, it's very hard to say, well, how are people going to, all of a sudden, if you're in a state like Vermont or New Jersey or Montana, you're going to pick up and move based on what they tell you that state is, red versus blue. Well, that's when they're going to start making it so you have to go, where they tell you, well, you're going to have a magic potion after the next outbreak to go to the grocery store. You're literally going to have no option but to go to these states, and they're going to be safe havens for each political ideology. One for blue, one for red, right? And again, they're using the predictive programming all over the place, telling us that this is what's coming. Here's a perfect example. I covered this movie. If you didn't see, the video is up on this channel for Civil War. Here's just a clip of this movie that they're, kind of just coming out at the same time that all this is going on. What a coinky-dink.
19 states have seceded.
The United States Army ramps up activity.
The White House issued warnings to the Western forces as well as the Florida Alliance.
The future president assures the uprising will be dealt with swiftly.
Are you guys aware there's like a pretty huge civil war going on?
Citizens of America,
the so-called Western forces of Texas and California
have suffered a very great defeat at the hands of the United States military.
President, do you regret the use of airstrikes against American citizens?
They shoot journalists on sight in the Capitol. Every instinct in me says this is death.
Don't do this. But here we are.
Some kind of misunderstanding here. What? Well, you're American, okay?
Okay. What kind of American are you?
You don't know?
Western forces will reach the White House on July 4th.
Move! One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God bless America.
Right, so as you see that, right, you could see the undertones of the movie, the arm, what kind of an American are you, right? The guys with painted fingernails, so you can identify who they are, right? Libs, right? The guy with the red glasses. This is all stuff people don't even realize they've herded this species of humans into being able to identify politics based on how they look and how they dress and all these other things. This is how deep the psychosis has gone, right? And really the way to break free, for anyone out there that wonders how you break free, is the destruction of technology, destruction of the 5G towers, destruction of technology in general, destruction of the news media. Shut them all off, shut them all down, okay? Because they can't have control over your mind without that. And if people start living independently and free from that, which will occur for a short period of time, but chaos will probably ensue. But if people, when they shut the grid down, if people live independently of that, they break away from it, they'll start seeing that this hate and all this stuff that they say is going on isn't really happening. Because it's the television, it's the internet, it's all these things that are keeping them trapped in there. The alt-right media, the alt-left media. That's the poison that's inside of people right now. It's there's multiple poisons inside of people right now. I shouldn't say that. I think we all know that. There's multiple poisons. But the psychological poison, right? Where people are making decisions based on the party can do no wrong, right? This is basic communism. The party could do wrong, and it's working on both sides, right? We look at the libs, the Democrats, and we say, well, this is perfect communism, right? The party's above God, the party's above everything else. The conservatives are the same way with MAGA, with Trump. And they go, no, we're not. That's because they have narcissistic tendencies too. No, we're not. We're not putting Trump above God. But he's a soldier of God. He's a worker for God. They're putting him right up there on the same pedestal. And they're being herded right into what they want, which is to have sitting ducks, essentially. Do you see where this is headed with sitting ducks? Okay? When you're all in states, okay, this is the first wave of this, right? Getting us divided so that we're not near these people. What do you think they've gaslit people so much so with this stuff in schools, with the transgender and all this type of stuff? It's to make it so it's unlivable, okay? So people who are conservative, it's unlivable. If they just were like, oh, gays getting married and this stuff, people will go, I don't really care if they get married or not, or blah, blah, blah. They're making it so over the top that it's unlivable for both sides, right? So then they herd you into the states, and then the more false flags start coming, right? Then you go, we're free from them. We don't have to deal with them anymore, and there'll always be conflict between the two sides. Then you look at ultimately dictatorships, new forms of how the government structure is set up. Obviously, the red would likely still have the same government structure, just all corrupt, people giving you the illusion of freedom still, right? Where they'll say, Trump's about now they're have stuff going on with China, and they'll be sitting ducks for these other, for the globalists to just hit them with HARP, hit them with all this stuff, and no one will see it coming. We need to do everything we can to fight against this civil unrest. And you don't fight against it by accepting people's ideologies. You fight against it by getting people to realize that they're the ones gaslighting everyone into this, herding everyone like sheep and cattle into this civil unrest to get us to sit in states with different rules that they want us to sit in by design. So I'm going on a rant here, but this is what happens, right? This is what we keep seeing, is that one side points a finger at the other side. Cancel their freedoms, cancel their speech, cancel this, cancel that. That's exactly how this whole thing works. I said it from the get-go about free speech. When somebody speaks against you, don't call for their channel to get taken down. Don't call for them to be silenced. Just argue back and make your points, right? But everyone's so desensitized now. It's been a couple of years that they accept canceling. You don't accept it. You don't accept. Do I accept it? Does it look like I've accepted it? I'm not accepting it. I'm not even acknowledging that it's an option, because it's not. And that's what everybody should be doing. But we're allowing them to do these things, right? And then the next thing, just like children. Oh, they took my candidate off the ballot. Let's take theirs off the ballot. And back and forth, then back and forth. Instead of going, you know what? None of these people on either side were ever elected. Show us proof that we want to go all the way back. Let's go back to just the basic votes. Give us a rundown of this entire thing. Who's controlling the set? We want real answers about who created the software, et cetera, et cetera. They couldn't give it to you, right? So what you'd say is, okay, we don't believe in any of the process. We want everything to be a handwritten ballot. You love technology so much, fine. Every handwritten ballot on camera, recorded and documented. They'll never go to that, right? Because if you actually give them a solution to avoid election interference, they won't go to that. But that's too hard. We can't do that. God forbid we count with our own hands and eyes and pens and paper. Oh, we couldn't do that. Because they don't want it to go to that. They want you to think it's rigged for each side, instead of saying it's ultimately all rigged. Not for each side, not the Republicans saying it's rigged for the Democrats saying it's rigged for Trump. He stole the election. The whole thing is rigged. It's rigged to do this to you, right? And then you go, oh yeah, we could come up with a reasonable way to stop this from occurring. No. They want you to cancel each other out instead of finding reasons. So my point being is that you start saying to yourself, okay, everybody involved is doing this. Get them all out. Because there's really no proof of any of them being there. Then you start going, okay, well, why can only these really, really rich people who rub shoulders with each other run for Congress, right? When people go, well, but the Democrats speak so nice on TV, and they care about me, and I'm gay. And you don't even start thinking about how the mind control has worked so much so that people believe they're born with these things, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, it's a never-ending psychosis that a lot of these people are under, the majority, on both sides. Both sides. So look at the undertones I showed you here, right? Canceling each other out, off of the ballot, remove him, remove her, get everybody off, right? Okay, then you start going into these, no one's noticing how they're doing red and blue state debates. Right? Oh, quality of life's better here. Oh, quality of life's better there. Well, they're racist. Oh, and they go back and forth, subconsciously telling you where you should live and where you shouldn't live. That's where this is headed towards. Telling you while Civil War movies conveniently continually be released, where you can see exactly where it's headed through predictive programming. And it is. And when it happens, people will still go, oh, those people were conspiracy theorists. I'm doing this by choice. I'm picking the red state because I don't want to live in the blue state. And they don't realize that's all been done by design. You're in a simulated reality. It's time to get out of that simulated reality. Time for civilians to start banding together. But it doesn't look like it'll ever happen because the psychosis is so thick. I've never seen people so supportive of political parties, which again shows you that it's communism on both sides. I thank everybody for being here. I hope you're all doing well. God bless you as always and your families.